and we are here today to present to you guys about outreach. So if you want to follow along on these slides or maybe check out the slides later, you can take a picture of this slide or scan that QR code. There's also the link down here if you want to check out that bit.ly, just if you want to check out these slides later. We'll give you guys a second for that. Moving on.
Okay, we'll introduce ourselves. So my name is Riddhi. I'm a senior at Aragon High School, and I'm on the Aragon Robotics team, so we are a school-affiliated team. This is my third year on FTC, and I'm on the mechanical part of building.
My name is Shelby. I'm a junior at Aragon. This is also my third year on the team. I've worked with FTC and FRC. I've done some mechanical and a lot of business and outreach.
We'll just skip to the slide. So who are we? So we're located in San Mateo, and we're affiliated with Aragon High School. We were founded in 2001. School year. So that was when our FRC 840 team was created, and then we started our FTC team 4345 in 2010. And then last year we restarted our FRC program. So last year was the rookie year for our FRC team. Right now we have 59 members, and we have a bunch of newbies who came in this year. So hopefully that number will grow. We don't have the exact number for this year, but last year we did have 59.
So before we tell you guys what we think outreach is, we want to hear your guys' opinions. What is outreach in terms of your robotics teams? Yeah.
Telling the community and helping them out.
Yeah.
It's like community service, but like the topics are related to robotics.
Yeah. Any other ideas about what is outreach for you guys? All right, so we'll tell you.
So this is what we think outreach is.
Any activity that engages our team members with the broader community. So you might notice this definition is super vague. We keep that definition for outreach so that we can kind of put more things that we do under the umbrella of outreach. Yeah.
So,
all right, so where did we come from? So at Aragon Robotics, both me and Riddhi joined this team in 2017. I was a freshman and she was a sophomore. That year we had very little outreach. So as a freshman, the only events we went to one middle school, and maybe we had a couple other events, but it really wasn't a big part of what we were doing as a team. At the end of my freshman year, I decided that I wanted to set that goal with the rest of the leads team to really make outreach a priority for the following season. So we created the lead position of outreach lead, and that was me for my sophomore year. And we really prioritized outreach last year, and we put a lot of work into it, and we've built some pretty great things.
So our outreach. So we actually have an outreach team for Aragon Robotics. Our FTC and FRC team falls under the name of Aragon Robotics. So our business captain, Shelby right here, plans events. And then we have like outreach specialists who go to most of the events and who know how to run the curriculum by themselves if in case the business captain isn't able to make it that day. And then we also have a point system in which all team members need to participate in outreach, which we will explain in the next slide.
So our system of outreach points, as you guys heard, we have 59 members. That's a big team. How many of you guys have a program that has like under 20 members, either your FTC team or your whole program? Right, so most FTC teams are 15. Our FTC team is also 15, but our whole program at a school, like we said, is now over 60 members. So we are really focused on engaging our whole team, making sure everyone's involved. So we actually make outreach required, but only 2 hours a semester. So that's 4 outreach points a semester is required for each team member. That's about one event. So we have a lot of members. We want to make sure everyone gets to at least one thing. With a smaller team, it's a little bit easier to kind of make sure that everyone's participating, but with such a large program, this is our system. We track outreach points throughout the year on a big spreadsheet, and the incentives for getting outreach points, we give people snacks because people really love snacks. We also give people more of a chance to go to overnight competitions. We give people who get a lot of outreach points recognition in the team. And also, if people have really put in their time, invested a lot into expanding our team, that goes into consideration for lead selection at the end of the year.
So some benefits of outreach. So you can improve your public speaking and leadership skills a lot through this because you're presenting to people like in workshops like this, or you're presenting to younger children or the older folk. You can also connect and engage with your different communities. You can become a more well-rounded team. So obviously we have like the engineers on the team, people who work on mechanical, electrical, or programming, but we also need business people on the team to make our team run because we need a budget for the team and we also need to engage in the community. It's also a lot of fun and it's a great way to do volunteer work, especially at first because they have a bunch of volunteer programs. And then in judging, judges love to hear about outreach and what you've done in your community. Also, there's a bunch of awards based around outreach, and if you win, Inspire Award is one of the biggest ones. So we have Inspire, Motivate, and Connect that connect to outreach, and if you win first place Inspire, that's your ticket to regionals, even if the winner of the tournament doesn't go there. So outreach is very important and integral in FTC.
Yeah. So how many of you guys have done any mechanical or programming before in your lives? How many of you guys have done any events like outreach before? All right, you guys are pretty involved. So it's really important, we know, for developing those soft skills that you might not get from just building robots and programming.
Okay, so we're going to go through more of these in our next slides, but here's just a list of the types of outreach that we do. So we do things in the first community, in our school community, because we're a school-affiliated team, in the tech industry, so with a bunch of tech companies, in our local community during like fairs, and then in our international community, so we're also spread out around the world.
And that, you can see our table of contents, is from our outreach debriefs from last year's season. So that doesn't have all of our updated events, but that has everything that we did through 2018 in it.
Yeah, so we did 17 events until February when our last competition was. Okay, so in the first community, we help mentor young, some things that you can do is like mentoring younger teams. We actually had one of our members, she went out to one of our middle schools and she coached a drone building team, and some of their members came to our high school and are now on Aragon Robotics. So that's a great way to spread out into the first community. You can mentor younger teams like FLL or FLL Junior, just so you're in the first community as well. You can host workshops like this, especially during kickoff when you have the opportunity to. You can host qualifiers or scrimmages at your school with other teams, or anywhere you find a place to. Or if your parents have connections, such as we went to a qualifier in Cisco last year, so one of the team members' parents worked at Cisco, so they just asked and they were able to host a qualifier, which automatically qualified them for regionals, so that is very helpful. And then we also have the hashtag First Like a Girl. So last year we had a bunch of our veteran girl members post videos of themselves just talking about this hashtag and what it means to be a girl in the STEM community and how we work. And we posted them on YouTube, and it actually created quite a lot of fans on YouTube. Essentially, we got a bunch of new subscribers from that. And we post First Like a Girl hashtags on a lot of our Instagram posts as well.
So part of the reason that we think outreach in the first community is so important is, frankly, it makes this community a lot more fun. So you guys are here on your teams, and obviously you will interact with the people on your teams, but it's even more important to, when you're at competitions, when you're at events like Kickoff, to really talk to the other people who are there as well. You get to meet really cool people. You know, a lot of people from TigerBots over here. We've worked with them. That's actually a picture from when we visited Notre Dame and we checked out the shops. But that's really fun to just get to know other teams. They can invite you guys to their workshops. You can show them yours, see them at competitions, and it just really strengthens that community. It's also great if you're at a competition and your robot is having problems. It's really great if you know other teams who can help you fix things last minute. We have had that happen during my freshman year, I think. Yeah, so it really just strengthens this community, and it's a really great thing to do, is to get to know other teams.
So in our school community, our school hosts club fair twice a year, and so what we do is we take out our poster boards and we take out our big banners and we go set up a table in our quad area, and then we'll have a robot that we like to drive around in between all the people who are like eating lunch or like walking around, just so they see like what's going on, what robotics is doing at their school. And then we pass out stickers and buttons, and then we wear our t-shirts just for spirit. And then we do this at Expo Nights where incoming freshmen come in, and at open house as well. We also work with the Rally Commission and Leadership class at our school to get spirit gear, such as like our bandanas that you see a couple of our team members wearing. And then we also have pom-poms that we bring to competition. We do things for live and video announcements. So we'll create a 1-minute video that gets uploaded to our video announcements, and our entire school can see a promo of robotics, and that's how we get a lot of new recruitments for the next year as well. We have a couple of bulletin boards across school as well as posters. We actually have 2 displays of trophy cases. So that's all the trophies for the past 19 years that we've won. We also put some of our t-shirts and medals and new member bios in those as well.
So how many of you guys are affiliated with a school? All right, not as many as our last workshop. So we know not everyone's a school team, but if you guys are a school team, it's so important for you guys and also for your school to really get out there and make sure you guys are known at your school. Events like these is what helps you build your reputation, not only with other students, but also with staff and faculty at your school. We have a really great relationship with our school administration, which is really helpful when we want to get permission to do crazy things like bringing Girl Scouts onto our campus all the time, which we'll talk about later, or driving a robot around in center court. It really helps to build those relationships with the people at your school, and more so with the students even. You guys will feel so great when you feel like you're really a part of your school as robotics. It gives you kind of a place to be at your school and feel like a part of that community. It's also fantastic for recruitment. If people see what your robotics team is doing and think it's really cool, you might get more freshmen the next year. You might even get upperclassmen to join your team later, which is fantastic.
So in the tech industry community, so a lot of our mentors, coaches, parents work in tech companies. So that's a really great way to reach out. So one of our sponsors actually is Intuitive Surgical, and they hold an open house event every single year. And so we have about 10 to 15 of our members go down there and work with the surgical robotic arms that they have, and then they have like design challenges for us. So it's a really great way to connect with our sponsor and get some information on how the tech industry works. We also did a presentation at Oracle, which was just like bringing our banners, spirit, and our robot to drive around and just present to some of the employees that work at Oracle. Oracle was also one of our other sponsors. A couple of our members took a field trip to Denali Biotech Company, and there we got to see how robotics can be incorporated in biotech in the labs, and we saw a couple of the robots actually doing their job, which was really interesting to see because it's a way to see how robotics is actually used in the real world.
So the reason that it's so important to do reaching out into the tech industry, mostly because of sponsorships. From the perspective of first, that's really helpful. All teams kind of need to fundraise. Grants are a great way to do this. So these are our sponsors on the back of our shirt. We give them different kinds of recognition, like we offer to go present at them like we did with Oracle. We put them on our shirt, we put their logos on our robot. But these field trips and outreach events like this is a super awesome way to engage with your sponsors and even to find new sponsors if you guys are looking for that. We highly recommend using your network, especially your network of parents, mentors, people at your school that might know other people. We really are big fans of networking on our team. It's a super valuable skill to have.
So in our local community, so this is where we do a lot of our outreach, and we know a lot of other teams also do most of their outreach at elementary schools and middle schools. So we go down to our 4 feeder middle schools and we give them a 30-minute presentation on robotics, and a lot of them come back to us when they're on Aragon Robotics and are like, oh, we saw you at our middle school, we thought it was really interesting, so that's why we decided to join. So that's a really great way to get recruitment. And then at the elementary schools, we occasionally go down to their science and invention fairs just to see what the kids are up to and to present our robot as well, so they're interested to see what's in for them in the future. We also did a Tug Club mentoring, which was the drone building team at one of our feeder elementary schools, and we have the person who did it sitting there in the back if you have any questions for her at the end. Yeah, so that was a great way to get new members to join our team.
Another big event we had this year was Night of Robots, which was actually a collaboration with Gun High School. Anyone here from Gun High School? No? Alright, so we did a collaboration with their robotics team to hold an event with a company called Brainvine. We hosted 55 elementary schoolers at our school campus in our shop, which was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. We had pizza for them, we had Legos, and some other design challenges, and it was a lot of fun. Something else that happened this year that was really great for us to engage with our local community was that we actually got picked up by the Daily Journal, the San Mateo Daily Journal, who wrote an article actually about our outreach, specifically about our focus on bringing girls into STEM. So that was really valuable for us to kind of get our name out into the community this year. A couple more community events that we did this year. We have gone to the Maker Fair and the County Fair the last few years. These events are so much fun. We are very sad that the Maker Fair is no longer going to be in our community next year, but we will still have the County Fair. But at these events, it's super cool because you get to go out and be in this community of thinkers and designers, and you get to be a part of that. Also, you get free tickets to the Maker Fair, so your own team gets to see everything that's there. The County Fair is really great for recruitment. We've met some mentors at the County Fair. It's really fun. It's early in the summer. Here's some pictures from that. One of the other things we did this year was collaborate with the Foster City City Council candidates for a materials drive, because we were driving around and we noticed there were a lot of campaign signs out and about, and those are all made of corrugated plastic, which happens to be a fantastic material for prototyping. So our marketing team reached out to a bunch of Foster City Council candidates, and they were absolutely on board with us taking a lot of their corrugated plastic signs after the election, which ended up helping them because then they didn't have to go themselves and pick up their signs. And then we shared a lot of this prototyping material with other teams as well. If you need corrugated plastic, we have a lot. We also taught a Python class at the Foster City Library. Some of our programmers were really passionate about programming, still are, and wanted to teach younger kids. So we set up a class where they taught a group of middle school students. There were 6 weeks, 6 sessions. I believe it was on Sunday afternoons. And all those students came out with a pretty basic introduction to Python. And it was really fun for our team members to do that. So now we're going to talk about our personal favorite outreach that we have built this year. It is our program called SCOUTreach. So we call it SCOUTreach because we work with Scouts, mostly Girl Scouts, some Cub Scouts as well. So in this program, it's a 2-hour curriculum. We work with K through 5th or 6th through 8th graders. We normally have groups of between 10 to 16 kids. We cap it at 16 just for ourselves. And it's a 2-hour curriculum. We have 2 different curriculums for the different age groups, elementary or middle schoolers. We held 10 events, most of them at our school campus in the NPR. That's what's really great about having a good relationship with our admin, is that they let us use the NPR whenever we want to for this event. And this event is super easy and accessible. We would highly recommend you guys doing that, so we're going to explain a little bit more about what it is. So our 2 different curriculums. So for younger students, brownies and juniors, which is just the younger age of Girl Scouts, we welcome them to our NPR, we show them our shop, and then bring them up. We play some games to kind of explain the concepts of programming For example, we put blindfolds on our team leaders who help out. All of these guys have helped out at these events. So, but they put on blindfolds and then they pretend to be a robot, and they each have a group of 3 to 4 younger kids who have to instruct them to build a pyramid out of the plastic cups, which kind of explains the programming concept of having to be really clear in your instructions so that you can communicate with the robot effectively. Then we give them a chance to try programming themselves. We use code.org. We often have them do either a little dancing program or a Minecraft-related program because they think it's really fun. We have them work with a partner. Then we play a types of robots guessing game because we want to get them thinking about the applications of robotics in their real life and also in movies that they've seen. Then we have them work with partners to design, build, and present little Lego prototypes. We have a big box of Legos that we bring. And the purpose of that is to get them thinking about how they can solve a problem that they see in the world, which is so sweet when we have these little 8 and 9-year-old girls who were getting thinking about problems and talking about their solutions. Then we let them drive our outreach bot, and then we lead a discussion on I'm inspired to, which is great because we normally get responses like I'm inspired to go save the environment with robots, or I'm inspired to come join Aragon Robotics. We get a wide variety of answers, but they're all really nice to hear. With our older girls, we run a similar program. We start with the same programming games to kind of teach those concepts because they're fun for all ages. Then we give them a chance to try programming. We have them do Khan Academy instead because it's typing instead of code blocks, but it's still really fun. That's more focused on like drawing shapes. Then for our older girls, we have them work in teams to complete 2 design challenges. So the first one is with Lego boats. We use our same box of Legos, and we have them work in small groups or partners to build a boat out of Legos. We put it in a big tub of water and see which boat can hold the most pennies, and whichever boat can hold the most pennies wins that challenge. And then for the card tower challenge, we give each group a stack of cards and a piece of tape or these little plastic connectors that we have. And we have them work together to design and build a card tower that can hold the most gummy bears and also be the highest and also stand up to wind resistance, which we use a hairdryer for. The purpose of those design challenges is kind of to get them thinking about the design process and how they can plan first and then prototype something and make it reach certain objectives, which is skills we all use in robotics. Then we have them drive our outreach bot and do the same I'm inspired to event. So, yeah, all right, you can go to the next slide. So these are a couple pictures from groups we've worked with. Neither of these were actually at our school campus. These were 2 of our first events before we started using our MPR. This was at Highlands Rec Center, and that was at one of the elementary school's libraries. But this event is super accessible, really easy for the team to run, and we've gotten hugely positive feedback from the girls and from the parents who we've worked with. So we would highly recommend to all teams that you give this curriculum a try. We will be, if you put your email on the email list that went around somewhere, we will email you guys this curriculum if you are interested in trying this event with your team.
So how we reach out to our international community. So like we said, we are slightly in the global area. So last year we began video chatting with one team from Romania called BoogieBots, and this year we've made our goal to video chat with 20 different teams in 20 different countries. So we really get globally spread across. So use social media to create those connections. I mean, you can email a team or you can DM a team on Discord or something, and the worst response you'll get is no, we don't want to video chat with you. But actually, it is very helpful. We actually DM'd 20 teams, and 10 of them came back saying yes. So it's very helpful to bounce ideas off of each other with the design on the robot or outreach events that you might be holding soon. Working with kids in other countries, we had one team member who went to India this year, and he had a group of, I believe, middle schoolers who came together, and he was teaching them a little bit about robotics because they didn't have like the building materials or the budget to really create a robot, but they did learn a lot from his presentations. So take advantage of opportunities. I mean, if you're traveling, you can go connect with an FTC, FRC, FLL team somewhere in the world, or you could just sit at home on your couch and video chat with a bunch of different people. So as you can see right here, a bunch of these kids are from the Boogie Bots team, and our team is sitting right here, video chatting with all of them. So that was a really fun time. So within our team, so I mean this is technically not outreach, but we do like to have like some team bonding and stuff. So we do icebreakers and bonding at the beginning of the new season because we do get newbies on our team. So we want to introduce them to the veterans, and so we're just a little more comfortable with each other before season starts and we can cooperate well together. We also have an annual newsletter that comes out. So that's just showcasing all the new members and all the new members on the team, all the seniors who will be leaving us this year, and then the major events that happen. So if we won a new award, if we did really well at a competition. And then we have a biannual potluck. So all the parents come in and they mingle with each other, and also it's a really great way to create a network. Like a lot of them do work at tech companies, so our robotics team always goes up to them and are like, hey, do you have any connections? Can we learn something from you? And a lot of them are usually willing to help. So that's how we got a couple of our sponsors, I believe. We also have a great alumni network. I mean, this is our 19th year. So we have alumni that have been in the workforce for over a decade, and they always come by to help us build, they have like new design ideas, and they come from a different perspective, so it really helps open up our eyes to the different ideas. And then we have team bonding events. We actually did one during Halloween last year. So instead of meeting like we usually do and like working on our robot, we actually had a pumpkin carving contest just to get a little competition on the team. And it also eased the tension because we did have comp coming up in the next 2 weeks. So that was a really fun time.
Part of the reason that we decided to explain a little bit about our own team bonding within this outreach workshop is because when you kind of get that fun, open, and engaging environment in your team, it really helps when you go out and talk to other people that you kind of present that you're a really fun and open team. It helps when you're at outreach events a lot. Alright, so just some advice for during outreach events. The most important thing we can tell you guys is be present, be in the moment, and talk to the people around you. So you might have a lot of people, a lot of members who came to an outreach event. Maybe only some of them are leading the event, some of them are actually doing something. But we would strongly suggest that you make sure all of your members can get engaged in your outreach events. Anyone who's there, you guys should really tell everyone. Make sure you're talking to people. Talk to little kids. Little kids are really smart sometimes. They can say great things. And again, with parents and adults, do that networking when you're at outreach events is a great time to do that. Just make sure everyone's present. Would recommend staying off your phones unless you're taking pictures. Really just also when you're out in the community, you want to present the best face of your team. So make sure everyone's engaged. Also, I see a lot of you guys are wearing your team gear. Good. Always wear your team shirts or whatever swag you guys have. Just to present, again, that cohesive team. And it's a lot more fun for you guys. Also, documentation is super important. You will always regret if you go to an outreach event and don't have any pictures of it. This is great for social media. Also, it's great to just have and look back on what you guys have accomplished. So we recommend photos. If you can, take videos. Emily was filming our workshop earlier. Also, if you're at really cool events, live stream. How many of you guys have an Instagram for your team? How many of you guys are from a brand new team, just to get a sense of that? Okay, a couple of you guys. We strongly recommend using Instagram, live stream at your events. It's a lot of fun. People will tune in. Alright, and then even more important is what you do after an event. So as you guys can kind of see up here, this is a thank you note from one of our Girl Scout teams that we worked with. It made us really happy to receive it in our shop. You can see a bunch of our 3rd grade girls that we worked with sign their names. It's very sweet. But you guys should normally be the ones sending thank you notes. So after you work with a group, especially if it's an adult or a group of adults, just send them a quick email if you can't send a handwritten thank you note. It's super important to companies and everyone to just show them that you really appreciated the help that they gave you. And that also really helps with following up. So once you do an outreach event, the next thing you should be thinking of is how can we grow this? How can we do this with more people? How can we use this connection to take things to the next step for whatever you are trying to do? So when you follow up, just think about what you guys can help each other with next. Also, always share pictures, post on your Instagram, make a Google folder and share it with the people who were at the event. Maybe if you were working with other teams or if you were working with a group of other people, just share those pictures so everyone can share it and your team name will grow out into the community.
So we actually have an outreach bot that we bring to a lot of our events, especially SCOUTreach, because we do allow the girls to drive our robot around. So it is our FTC bot from Team 4345. We actually had 3 teams back then, so this was from Team 4345, which we are right now. From the 2017-2018 year, that was Relic Recovery. It's a small, light, and very durable bot. It's easy to repair and very easy to get running. Everyone knows how to start it up, so anyone can essentially run it at an outreach event. It's really simple and easy to drive, and this is the robot that we also drive around our school. It's decked out in Aragon swag because we really want to showcase our team. We have like stickers from sponsors, stickers from other teams, and even some of our own stickers and buttons on it.
We know that not every team might have the materials or the capability to keep around a robot just specifically for outreach. We're really lucky that we've been able to keep all the parts of this robot together for 2 years now. We've kind of grown to love this robot. It has a side panel that has a lot of fun stuff on it. And it also has an Aragon flag. But we would strongly recommend if you're planning to really invest time in outreach, try and keep something running at all times so that when you have an event, you have something that people can drive around. Even if it's just a basic drivetrain connected to a remote control, especially little kids, whatever they can drive, they will absolutely have a fun time with, and they will be so impressed.
So here's some advice on getting started. This is actually one of the perfect opportunities to work with other teams. You can network here because we're at FTC Kickoff. There's at least like 15, 20 teams here. So just go around, talk to different people, and see if they have any ideas for the competition that just came out today, or if they have any ideas for outreach events. Take initiative. There are a lot of people who would want to actually learn from you. You might have some cool new curriculum, or you might have some really cool designs that they might want to know about. So be able to talk about like what your robot does and how your outreach works to other people as well. And use the connections that you have. Once again, we all have like mentors, coaches, and parents who work in tech companies. So this is a great way to get sponsors, as well as find places to host qualifiers if that's what you're looking towards, or host events at their companies. So use the connections you have, and once you build a connection, see if you can use them as a link to more people. So that's how you network, and it is a really important thing, especially in this day.
A few more pieces of advice. Pay attention to local community events. Just pay attention to what's happening in your community. Something that's not always super fun is when you go to an event and you see other robotics teams there and you think, my team could have done that. So pay attention to what other teams are doing, but also just pay attention to events that are happening in your community, such as at local middle schools and elementary schools. You guys really have to take that initiative to, people aren't going to necessarily come to you and say, hey, do you want to do this? You really have to get yourselves out there and reach out. It's called outreach for a reason. You guys have to reach out, make those connections, and set up events. People will almost always want to learn from you guys. You guys have a super special area of knowledge that not everyone gets to experience. Make outreach a priority and follow through. So our team in 2017-2018 really didn't have any outreach. Like I said, we built it all pretty much over the last year, and we're really proud of that. That's all because we decided to make it a priority. So there's so much that you guys can accomplish. You can really build a fantastic outreach program in a short time if you really put your effort towards that. Follow through, don't cancel on events. That is never a good idea for anyone. Also, include your whole team. With such a big team for us, that's really important. It really increases connectivity within the team. But even if you have just a small group working on outreach, it might not feel like something that your whole team is accomplishing together. But if you have your whole team working on it, it can really bond you guys and improve your team culture. This was the email list that you see on the side here. We reached out to one person to help us spread the word about our SCOUTreach program this year. This was a few days ago. Within an hour, we got 6 emails about troops who want to work with us. So that's just an example of how using the connections that you have, word of mouth, is so valuable for expanding the things that you are growing.
Don't be discouraged if you're a rookie team or if your team hasn't done that much outreach. I mean, we basically built our outreach from the ground up in a single year, and right now it's booming. So you can grow your outreach exponentially over the course of a year.
Building your brand. So we are from Aragon. Aragon our mascot is the Dawn. Our colors are red and black, as you might be able to tell from all of our red and black things. So we have t-shirts that are red and black. We have a lot of other swag. We have hoodies, banners. Everything that we use kind of follows that theme of red and black. Our team name is Aragon Robotics. So everything that we do has that branding. Our logo is the AR that you see right there. We strongly recommend picking a brand, picking logos, and sticking to it. It's really important to present that consistency. It makes you guys seem a lot more professional. So we would highly recommend that. Use it for all your social media too, same branding.
So also more on building your brand, make some swag. So we've got team buttons that we actually ran out of because we've been handing them out to so many different people. We also have stickers that we hand out to anyone and everyone that we meet. So stickers are a great way to present your team. It's a really simple design, and you can get them for quite a low price as well. And all teams will remember you, and everyone's willing to take a sticker here and there. We've got t-shirts right here, and then we have some hoodies that we sell as well. I know our team doesn't do this, but other teams do sell their t-shirts and hoodies and other spirit gear at competitions. So if you're looking to make a little extra cash for your budget, that is a great way. So give away these things at outreach competitions, at outreach events, at different competitions, and yeah, that's how you spread word of your team, and that's how the community knows who your team is.
All right, presenting your outreach. So you guys know that everything you do, you have to present to the judges during competition. So the major way that we do that is through our engineering notebook. That actually helped us win the Think Award last year, which is the award for your engineering notebook. But what we do is after each outreach event, we make a write-up like this one that you can see. We put in a lot of pictures because judges like to see that, and then we put sections in bullet points of what we did, what we learned, and what is the impact. We focus on these 3 things because it's more interesting to the judges and more important for them to see really what is the impact on your team, which is the what we learned section, and what is the impact on your community, whether that be whatever community you guys are reaching out to. That's what we focus on what is the impact. With just a really brief summary of what you actually did at the event, it's more important to focus on the significance than anything else. If you want to take a picture of this slide, you can see our full set of outreach debriefs from last year. So it only goes through December 2018. Yeah, so it's from last season. Yeah, we'll wait a second there. All right. The other thing that's super important about presenting your outreach is at judging. Talk a lot about outreach. We find that in all things, basically, outreach we set at about the same equivalent weight as building a robot. So, which sounds kind of crazy for a robotics competition, but that's what we've learned in our couple years on this team. So when we present at FTC qualifiers, we try and focus about 5 minutes on the robot, 5 minutes on outreach, so the same amount of time, and then about 3 minutes for the judges to ask questions. So if you've never gone to judging, if your team is looking for kind of a way to structure this, this is a good basis for what we do. Obviously, if you don't have as much outreach, you might not be able to fill that much time talking about it, but this is a generally good balance. That's our trifold board up there. The whole side panel over there is outreach, and the center focuses on our robot.
We also have a little story time about this. So actually, last year during one of our competitions, our robot only worked for the first match, and then after that it kind of broke down with different parts breaking every single time. But because we presented our outreach so well, and when the judges came over, we talked a lot about our robot and about outreach. We actually ended up winning second place in Spire, which put us in the lottery for regionals. So outreach is extremely important. Even if your robot isn't working, if you're able to present what you did outside, it really helps.
All right, and the last thing that we want to talk about is social media. I know a lot of you guys said that your team has an Instagram. So that's probably the main social media that we focus on. We also have a Snapchat and a Twitter. Our main goal with social media is to focus on engaging our school community and also connecting with other FIRST teams, FRC, FTC, all of the above. So with our Instagram, we set the goal of posting twice a week. Snapchat and Twitter we try and use at every single meeting. So our marketing team runs all of our social media. We found that the most effective way to grow your following and get more likes and everything on your pictures is to be consistent and be engaging. So content-wise, post on your stories, post a variety of people, try and represent your whole team. We find that really important. You can see our live streams at competitions. You can watch highlights of our stories from different events. So just make sure you're consistent with your social media and you will watch it grow before your eyes. Our other social media that we use a lot is YouTube. Emily over here is in charge of our YouTube. So we post a lot of videos, First Like a Girl, like we talked to you guys about. We do a lot of shop tours. We do a lot of team season updates and robot reveals. We also make a Meet the Leads video at the beginning of the year. We also post a lot about our outreach events. So you can see we posted about Night of Robots and about when we went to the Maker Faire. Something that we've learned working with YouTube over the last year is that any videos are better than no videos. So even if you don't have someone who's a professional video editor, film clips on your phones and put them together in iMovie and post it to YouTube. People will watch it, people will love it, you guys will feel great that you have a YouTube channel, whether or not your videos are professional quality. They will still be a lot of fun. So yeah, make sure you use your YouTube. Alright, so that is all we have for presentation. We have about 10 minutes for questions. Also, if you guys didn't sign in on that paper over there, we'd like to ask you guys to do that. Riddhi, can you pass it around again? Alright, so do you guys have any questions for us? Yeah.
Is there anyone?
With other teams, like what stuff do you talk about?
So when we video chat with other teams, a lot of the times we end up talking with people who are on their build teams or the programming teams. So most of the time we talk about the current game and the season that they're in, when they have upcoming competitions, what kind of strategies they're focusing on for the game. So it does tend to be more robot focused, but we also like to talk about what FIRST is like in their country, what their community looks like, whether they're a school team, and what kind of outreach they're doing as well. Yeah.
How do you guys function the sponsorships and fundraisers?
So most of our money comes from grants. So we look online and find what kind of companies are willing to sponsor FIRST teams, and then we apply for our grants. When you're applying for grants, talk a lot about your outreach. Again, companies, it's valuable for them to see, companies will sponsor teams that are building robots, but they're much more likely to sponsor a team that says, look, we are going out into the community, this is how we're making an impact. Companies will really love that, so that's how we get a lot of our grants, yeah.
So a lot of people on my team are really shy, so is there a way how you guys encourage your team members to, be more open to other people?
Yeah, so that is definitely a challenge that we've had as well. Normally, especially before judging, I kind of lead a public speaking crash course just so people remember how to kind of talk to the judges. That is something that you guys will grow into. It's very uncomfortable at the beginning, but you just have to make yourself and your team get up, and that's something great about working with little kids is that they're not judgy. So if you start working with little kids, get people up, teaching what they know to younger kids, they might grow more comfortable teaching what they know to everyone else. Any other questions? Yeah.
How do you find, or how and where do you find outreach events, or usually local ones?
So how do we find local events? That's a good question. You just get out there, right? You email elementary school principals, email middle school principals, talk to PTO. We've found that once you start, it keeps growing. Like we said, we had one connection to one Girl Scout troop. She emailed all of the NorCal Girl Scout troop leaders, and we now have scheduled 16 events. So and those connections, those parents invite us to do things at middle schools. So you just start with whatever connections you do have, and that will eventually spread into a network of connections that you guys can use. Any other questions? Yeah.
How do you guys like put your engineering notebooks together?
She can talk about that.
So, are you like looking specifically for outreach or like also like the design process for robotics?
Well, how do you guys log your reading and how do you guys do your outreach?
So, actually last year what we did was we had a handwritten engineering notebook. So the main issue with that was that not all of our members could contribute all at once. So this year we did switch to Google Docs. So basically what we usually have is like attendance, the date, the meeting log, the goals for the day, the challenges that we had that day, especially during building season, and then a bunch of pictures, because judges really want to see pictures rather than words. They don't want to hear like your sob story of why your electronic system is not working. They'd rather like look at the picture of like how you set it up and how it's looking. And so you have a bunch of those. And then we also had a prototyping session where we had our prototyping section where we had all of our team members draw out, like sketch out all the different modules that they worked on. And so that was a big hit to the judges. And then we had a business and outreach section at the back, and that was actually quite large. That was about like 50 pages in that. So they were really interested in looking through those as well.
Yeah, out of curiosity, how long is your entire?
Our engineering notebook was one of the, I think it was like 160 pages.
So as you can do the math, that was about a third about our outreach and business of our whole notebook.
So just as from experience, you might want to do Google Docs rather than a handwritten engineering notebook, just because everyone can contribute at once rather than one person writing at a time.
Other questions? All right, if you guys have any more questions, just come up to us and ask us after this. Make sure if you're interested in getting resources from us, make sure your email, your team name is on that list. All right, thank you guys so much for coming out. Oh, you have another question?
Can you get your stickers?
Createrunner.com. All right, thank you guys so much.
I actually don't buy like 100% stickers. I don't know. Oh, but I'm also president. Leave it actually.
I have a friend who goes there.
Yeah.